My wife made me watch her cheat, so I got my revenge. I always thought I had the perfect life. Sarah and I had been together for over 6 years, and we built a life that many people envied. From the outside, we were that couple that everyone looked up to, the couple that had it all. We had a beautiful home, good jobs, and our friends would always comment on how lucky we were to have found each other. We seemed so in sync, so happy, so perfect. But that's the thing about appearances. They can be deceiving. Behind the smiles, the dinners with friends, and the family gatherings, something was slowly falling apart that I never saw coming. Sarah had changed in ways that I couldn't put my finger on. It wasn't dramatic at first. At first, it was small things, subtle shifts in her behavior that I chalked up to stress or maybe just the normal ebb and flow of a relationship. But eventually, it became undeniable. It started with the late nights. I'd come home from work, expecting to find her on the couch, watching our favorite TV shows, but instead she would be out, meeting friends, or working late. It was odd, but I let it slide. After all, she was a high-powered executive, and I knew how demanding her job could be. But as time went on, the distance between us grew. Conversations became sparse. She no longer told me about her day, and when I asked, her answers were short and uninterested. She seemed distracted. Then came the phone. Her phone. I never used to be the jealous type, never felt the need to go through her messages or check her social media. But something about her sudden attachment to that phone set me off. She would leave it on do not disturb mode at all times, and when I tried to make casual conversation about it, she'd get defensive. "It's just work," she'd say, or "Don't worry, I'm not hiding anything." But I was worried. Every instinct in my body told me something wasn't right. And so I began to notice more than I ever had before. The way she would quickly lock her phone when I walked into the room. The late-night texting sessions where I couldn't hear her side of the conversation. Something in me shifted. I wanted to know the truth. But I had no idea just how brutal that truth would be. It was a Friday evening when Sarah dropped the bombshell. We had planned to spend a quiet night together, just the two of us, after what had been a week full of work and stress. But as we sat down to dinner, I could feel something was off. The air between us was thick, uncomfortable, like she had something weighing on her that she wasn't ready to share. The silence stretched on longer than it should have before she finally spoke up. "I need to talk to you," she said, looking at me with a strange, almost unreadable expression on her face. "Okay," I said, setting my fork down. My stomach twisted. "What's going on?" She hesitated for a moment, her fingers tapping nervously on the edge of the table, and then she blurted it out in a voice so calm it took me a second to process her words. "I've been seeing someone else." The world seemed to stop. The air left my lungs and I could barely breathe. The words echoed in my mind, over and over, each repetition hitting me like a physical blow. I looked at her, my brain trying to process what she had just said. "What do you mean?" I asked, the words coming out of my mouth automatically, though I already knew the answer. She sighed and then looked at me, her eyes almost cold, as if the conversation we were having was just another mundane discussion. "I've been having an affair," she said plainly. "It's been going on for a few months now." I couldn't believe it. My mind raced. This was Sarah, the woman I had trusted, the woman I thought was the love of my life. And now she was telling me that she had betrayed me in the worst possible way. The anger was rising, bubbling up from the depths of my chest, but I kept it contained. I needed answers. "Who is he?" I managed to ask, my voice strained. Her eyes flickered with hesitation. "It doesn't matter," she said. "He's just someone from work." But something about her tone made it clear that it did matter. She didn't want me to know too much. That's when I made the mistake of asking the question that would change everything. "Why are you telling me this?" "Why now?" I demanded. And that's when she said the words that would haunt me forever. "I want you to see it," she said, her gaze unwavering. "I want you to watch me with him." At first, I thought I had misheard her. "What?" I asked, barely able to comprehend what she was asking. "I want you to come with me," she said. "I want you to watch us. You need to see what it's like." It was like a sick, twisted game she was playing. It didn't make sense. Nothing she was saying made sense. But she was serious. Her face was expressionless, and she seemed almost detached, as if this was something she had already come to terms with and was now asking me to do the same. I should have walked away. I should have told her to forget it, to go to hell, to leave. But in that moment, something deep inside me snapped. I didn't know why, but I agreed. I agreed to go with her. I needed to see it for myself. She drove us to a part of the city I didn't recognize. My heart pounded in my chest as we parked in front of a rundown apartment building. The whole situation felt surreal. My mind was screaming at me to turn around, to leave, but my body was frozen. I followed her inside, my feet heavy, each step feeling like a march toward my own destruction. When we entered the apartment, there he was, the man she had been seeing. He was sitting on the couch, relaxed and smiling as if nothing was wrong. I didn't know him. I didn't even recognize him from her stories. Sarah greeted him casually, and my heart sank. Then, without hesitation, they kissed. The kiss was slow, deliberate, and painful to watch. My whole body went numb as I realized the magnitude of what was happening. "Sit down," Sarah said, her voice flat, like she was asking me to watch a movie. "Watch us." I wanted to scream, to yell, to tear them apart. But I couldn't. I stayed silent. I didn't move. I just watched. It was like watching a nightmare unfold in slow motion. It felt like the longest hour of my life, watching the woman I loved with someone else, knowing that every intimate moment they shared was a betrayal. But in that silence, something inside me began to take shape. I had been humiliated, but I wasn't going to let her see me break. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me crumble. Instead, I was plotting my next move. When it was all over, Sarah turned to me, expecting some sort of emotional breakdown. But instead, I simply said, "We're done." She was stunned, confused. She didn't expect me to react this way. She had prepared herself for my anger, for my pain. But I was beyond that. I was done. The days that followed were a blur. I reached out to a few people who knew her and who would know exactly how to make sure her secret didn't stay hidden. I didn't want to ruin her life, but I wanted her to understand the gravity of what she had done. And so I made sure her affair became public. Her co-workers found out. Her friends found out. Family members who had once adored her now saw her for what she truly was. And then she tried to reach out to me, to apologize, to explain herself. But I couldn't hear her. It was too late. I had taken back control of my life. The power she had taken from me was mine again, and I wasn't going to let her take it back. Months passed, and Sarah's world crumbled. She lost friends, lost respect, and lost her sense of security. She tried to patch things up with me, but I had already moved on. I had already healed. I didn't revel in her suffering, but I didn't feel sorry for her either. She had made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. As for me, I took the lessons from that experience and used them to become a stronger person. I realized that I didn't need someone like her in my life, someone who thought they could get away with breaking me. I moved on. I started focusing on my own happiness, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more shocking tales, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about this story? Your feedback helps us grow and create even more exciting content. Thanks for your cooperation.